Hello, mainstreamers and cinephiles and everybody in between. I'm Bryant.
And I'm Caitlyn.
And Operation Silver Screen is a go! Welcome everyone to another weekly debrief. Each week, Caitlyn and I take on a case from our backlog of must-see films that either one of us or both of us have not yet seen. In our debrief, we'll provide not only our opinion of the film, but we'll also discuss its significance and influence in both the film industry and overall culture as a whole. Along the way, we'll also provide other fun trivia and insights on the film. Caitlyn, what was our assignment this week?
This week, our mission took us on a road trip to New York to continue our quest to find out what is truly the must-see romantic comedy. We expected to witness dramatic meet-cutes and fairy tale gestures, but instead we got something a little bit different this time. This week, we're going to be giving our debrief on the Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron rom-com classic, When Harry Met Sally. So before we get into it, I do want to mention that the first part of our debrief will be spoiler-free as we talk about our overall thoughts on the film, but as we move into the classified part of the mission, there will be some spoilers on the story, but we'll be sure to give you a heads up when we get to that part. So let's go ahead and get into why we chose to watch this film this week. And this is a very well acclaimed film. This film has come up in our research before when searching for must-see rom-coms, and it actually came up last month in our Love and Basketball episode as the director had stated she wanted to make a black When Harry Met Sally. Now, I haven't seen this before. Bryant, you haven't seen this before either?
No, I knew of this movie. I have not seen it. Actually, my brother just watched this randomly with his friends. Quite the coincidence. And he liked it. But no, I had not seen this film before.
Okay. I feel like we're expanding your romantic comedy catalog.
Yours too? You didn't see Pretty Woman or this one?
Weird. I guess I haven't seen a lot of them must-see. I've seen a lot of other ones, though. But I haven't seen this one. I didn't see Love and Basketball. So it is being expanded. Oh yeah,
Love and Basketball as well. I've seen 500 Days of Summer, which this reminded me of.
Interesting. So this is a film that did receive good critical acclaim. It originally released in limited theaters, and then they wanted word of mouth interest to gain a little bit. And it did generate a lot of word of mouth interest, and it eventually expanded into larger distribution. It did end up grossing $92.8 million in North America with a budget of $16 million. Converted for today, I did see that this is about $205 million if you convert it to today's economic standards. But it has inflation. That's the word. I was like, there's a word, but I don't know what it is.
Economic standards, as if the way we grade money is
finance, words, business, inflation. Yes.
It's like somebody just says, you know what? The way I've been looking at and grading money recently, it's got, let's just say it's more. Which I mean is pretty much inflation almost.
So it did receive good critical acclaim. Nora Ephron, who is a big name when it comes to romance, she received a British Academy Film Award. She also got an Oscar nomination and a WGA nomination for her screenplay. Those unfortunately did not win, but she did get a lot of acclaim for her writing in this film. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan also won acting awards at the American Comedy Awards. Rob Reiner was also nominated for a DGA award, and it was nominated for 5 Golden Globes as well. So a lot of nominations. It did win Best Screenplay at the British Academy Film Awards. I think I mentioned that. But it was overall a lot of nominations. But for a rom-com, that's still pretty good to see. Rom-coms don't tend to be the big award winners.
No. Yeah, just like horror films. Any comedy, really.
Yeah. In 2022, the film was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. We talk about that a lot. And it was generally cited as a film that really set rom-coms apart and defined the structure. Roger Ebert called Rob Reiner, one of the best directors of comedy, and said the film was, in terms of structure, it fulfills your expectations, and what makes it special is the screenplay and the chemistry between the two characters. It is often cited on several best of lists for both romance and comedy, as well as for rom-coms in general, but separate as well. Bryant, was there anything you found?
Yes. On IMDb, this has a 7.7. Pretty good. Rotten Tomatoes, this has a 91% critic rating with an 89% audience rating, which I found strange. I thought that would be a bit higher for this film, but I don't know. I guess this isn't. You said it reinvented rom-coms. I still don't think this is as popular as the other rom-coms. Not saying it's not saying they're better, but I just think that the other ones have more public appeal. This is also in the 1001 movies to watch before you die.
Yeah, yep, it is. So a little bit about what this film is actually about. The film is a story of the titular Harry and Sally, of course, played by Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, and the story begins as they are newly graduated and sharing a car ride to New York. It's not your typical meet cute, as Harry is currently dating Sally's college friend, and the two of them kick off the ride with a bit of a contentious start. During this ride, the question is raised, can men and women ever really be friends, or will sexual attraction always get in the way? After a tumultuous ride, Harry and Sally part ways, seemingly for good, but what follows is a series of serendipitous moments where these two cross paths, and over a span of 12 years, they become friends and eventually must tackle the feelings they have for one another. So when Harry Met Sally, it's really a tale that was very personal to Rob Reiner, the director, and Nora Ephron, the screenwriter. Reiner was going through a divorce at the time, and Ephron was using tales from her friends about their issues that they were having from singleness. So what they brought together was a screenplay that was very personal to them in a way, and a lot of dialogue and stuff was stuff that Rob Reiner and Billy Crystal actually shared in their dialogue. And they say that bringing Billy Crystal in was instrumental to the movie's direction because he definitely helped enhance the comedy. There was a lot of improv and a lot of stuff that was added to this film, as seen with a lot of comedy movies. But so there was a lot that went into this screenplay. So Bryant, what did you think about the story here? Did you think that the screenplay was worthy of all these nominations that it was getting?
I think so. I mean, this basically did in, hour and a half, what How I Met Your Mother did in 8 seasons.
If you choose. I pretend it didn't happen, the ending of How I Met Your Mother.
This movie, yeah, I can see why it had all these nominations for the screenplay. And, I don't know what else was around during that time, but I wouldn't have much disagreement with that, or any disagreement. I think that the screenplay, the writing, was probably my favorite part about this, was just the way that it was structured, and then also the continuous dialogue between the two leads. Yeah, you have the overarching question of can a male and female remain platonic friends if there's an attractiveness there? But within that, there's all these other conversations about relationships, marriage, and life. All these little conversations are engaging, and they're surrounded by the New York scenery that I actually liked and made me want to go visit. I can't remember the last time that I've actually thought about New York like that. New York's always kind of seemed overrated to me, but as they were going around and talking and traveling within this city, the backdrops were always gorgeous. This film was always lit very well. So I actually, and I think that helps with the tone of this movie. Is really charming. It's fun. So I enjoy this. I think some things are, I think the question is a little bit dated, or at least the answer to it is.
I agree.
I will say I did not like the film in the beginning. I didn't realize that we were going to follow them throughout their lives as they mature. So I thought when we first met Harry, that's the Harry that we had to stick with. And I wasn't having it. Not having it at all. And how the movie plays out, again, I think is a bit dated. I would have liked to see it go another way, but for it to be one of the first, I'm not going to hold it against that. This was their story. They weren't really reinforcing something else. But I think this was like I said, with Love and Basketball, it's a nice light film. I was also, as far as rom-com, I was chuckling throughout. I don't think I had any big laughs, but I was getting some good chuckles.
Yeah. Like I said, this isn't your typical meet cute, and it's something that I was a little surprised about, because when you have a film called When Harry Met Sally, that emphasis on meeting, you expect to have a meet cute. So I also didn't expect this to have those vignettes throughout time of their relationship. And I think to a degree, it gives up on that premise after like the third time they meet and become friends. And so I kind of didn't like that inconsistency there, but I think that in general, I enjoyed the script, and I thought that the dialogue was engaging, like you said, and I think that the comedy worked. I don't know how much of that is the screenplay and how much of that is Billy Crystal. I thought that his performance was really well, and something that I think a lot of these rom-coms, it was same for Pretty Woman, because when I was really watching a lot of the traditional rom-coms, like I was a lot younger and I have different tastes then. So seeing Billy Crystal as a love interest wasn't something that I was interested in. And Billy Crystal to me was the voice of Mike Wachowski. Like, he's a comedian and he's a bit older. And so, like, when I was younger, that's obviously not something I was attracted to. But now that I'm older, and this is definitely a rom-com more for adults, there is sort of a better appreciation of it. Seeing adults fall in love and seeing a character like Billy Crystal who is just fun and is charming because of his comedy. It worked.
And that's one thing the movie was praised for, was having a leading man who was not this Prince Charming. He just kind of looked like an everyday man. Same with Meg Ryan too. I would say, like, if you compare Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal to Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, those two in Pretty Woman, like, yeah, that's at least for Julia Roberts. I think you didn't really care for Richard Gere too much, but yeah. Julia Roberts, man, she looks, spectacular, just immaculate, like almost, but like more than, but kind of like with that Hollywood feel to it. This movie really does feels authentic and genuine with both characters, and I like how both characters have their flaws as well, or not even so much their flaws. They're not the best. He's not always saying the best things. He's charming, but he slips up sometimes. He says the wrong things. Meg Ryan isn't always the one that's, she's not the one that's like always above him. She's not always the one that's smarter and more has her head on straight than him.
Yeah, I'll say Meg Ryan didn't work for me as much in this film as Billy Crystal did. I wasn't as sold by her performance, and I don't think I found her quite as endearing. And part of it also might because of other movies I've seen her in. I'm not the biggest Meg Ryan fan, particularly in rom-coms, but she did well enough. I definitely think Billy Crystal is the one that shines here.
I think so too, though. I like Meg Ryan. I like Meg Ryan a lot in this. I haven't seen her other films that I can think of. I've always kept hearing her name, and I can never put the face to a movie. But I really liked her in this film.
Yeah, You've Got Mail is another really big rom-com. It might be a must-see, but I'm not a big fan of.
How did you feel about how they looked age-wise? Because that's something you brought up before. That's something we brought up during Pretty Woman. That's something you bring up about older movies. Did it bother you so much here? Because there is an age gap.
I'm not... You mean for the actors?
Yeah, for the actors and how they looked on screen together.
I mean, I'm not sure what the age gap is, so I didn't even think about it.
Okay, yeah, Billy Crystal was 40, Meg Ryan was 23.
Okay. I mean, I don't... It doesn't always bother me. It doesn't bother me here. I know that it came up recently in a Jurassic Park discussion because of Sam Neill and Laura Dern, and it didn't really bother me there. I think when it's more of an issue is when you get like the James Bond characters where, okay, it's obvious that this character is older and the only love interest is a much, much visibly younger woman. But a lot of times you don't really get that visibly younger situation.
Agreed. Yeah.
And like I know with old movies, like there's a drastic difference that you can tell.
And I think sometimes in those movies as well, they're kind of putting the older man above the woman. So like you can tell that age gap even more.
Especially for the older movies, it's kind of like the serious older man, and then like the more...
the beautiful but dim-witted dame?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Either that or the woman's like a prize for the older man. That's usually pretty problematic. But I don't think the dynamic here in this film really caused there to be an issue with that.
And they say they're the same age. I would say in the beginning of the film, I had an issue because I was looking at Billy Crystal and I said, what did they just graduate from? Did he... And you can graduate at any age. At first, I thought they were trying to tell me he was in high school. And they tried to make him... seem younger by dressing him down and his hair's grown out a bit. It's like this man's a lot older than what I feel like they're pitching right now. But when he cleans up and when Meg Ryan, I don't know, I feel like when he cleans up and then Meg Ryan when she like has her makeup and her hair done and everything, he looks younger, she looks older, and it balances out.
Yeah, I felt that too. I actually thought that the aging was done pretty well with the makeup, personally. So this is definitely a friends to lovers type film. I mean, these are tropes that we hear a lot nowadays when talking about romance, whether it's like dramas or books, definitely. There's like enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, and this is definitely the latter. And that's something that you don't really see too often in rom-coms. It does happen, but especially at this time, I think what you were really seeing was like the more of you meet a girl and you fall in love and that's how it goes. So how did this particular trope play out for you in this film?
I'm not a fan of this trope. I don't even know if it's so much of a trope because you see it outside of romance films, but I'm also not a fan of, there's another one that I'm really not a fan of, and I think it plays on this, which is the one where the unnoticed nerdy guy confesses his love to the girl that he's always admired since high school after she got through a breakup, and it turns out that she likes him too, because I feel like that's the writer male fantasy. And like, so this whole time there was no chemistry, nothing building, and talked about it before, Love and Basketball, I don't believe in like the whole soulmate thing, so it feels very unrealistic. With this, the platonic relationship, I don't like how a lot of movies and shows depict platonic relationships, or that they depict them in a way that it seems impossible, or that we have these two friends and we just know that they're going to get together at some point. We're just doing the song and dance till we get to the finale for them to have the kiss and break down those barriers. It's probably because I'm such a supporter of platonic relationships and such a holder of them. Like, I have a lot of women that are friends, of course. I mean, we have a podcast together. I mean, I really wouldn't consider you a friend, but we do have a podcast together.
An acquaintance, yeah.
Yeah. So which is, and no, I like to write as well. And I made the decision that anything that I'm going to write, I'm going to make sure to include platonic relationships, because I think it's something that's underrepresented.
Definitely.
And it's something that it definitely happens. And it also gets kind of annoying to me personally, again, because when I'm friends with a female, people expect me to eventually get with that person.
You did the thing.
What did I do?
When you're friends with a female.
God dang it. Oh, misogynist. I told you, this is the military, all right? I don't know if you heard about the military. We kind of do this thing where we serve the country and protect your freedom. You're welcome. It's probably also, I kind of have an issue with it being enforced, because when I'm friends with a woman, I've had it plenty of times where people thought that, oh, we were eventually going to get together, or we were doing something on the side. No, this is just my friend, and some people just can't comprehend it.
Mm-hmm. It is
or like I've heard families say, "Oh, I thought you guys were going to get together." What, my friend that I consider a sister? It is weird.
Yeah, someone with a lot of guy friends, I understand.
And I've seen two influences of that, of being able to have platonic friends. One, I think that I said it's kind of a dated question, because I think we're seeing more platonic friendships nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are, and it's probably because of the rise of social media, and like you're able to have more friends in general and keep up with more people, but also sometimes it's geographically, like, you're not able to be with somebody, so you have no choice but to just remain friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I mean, for me though, it's actually a family thing. So my dad always through life had a lot of friends who were women, and I found out my brother has the same thing, and I always had friends that were always women. Like, it was just, there was nothing to it. We never really thought twice about it until somebody brings it up, or, you know, we were involved with a girl and they may have an issue with it, or they have to like try to understand why we have so many friends that are women. It's possibly due because my dad was raised mostly by women. I had a lot of women watch over me growing up. They're like, just all the adult figures were mostly women. So that's probably why it enforces that platonic relationship, but I just don't like how films, because what I feel is doing is basically, it's the writer's fantasy of they probably had a girl that they like, but was put into the friend zone. And now they're writing a story about, oh, everybody lives happily ever after and they get out of the friend zone and gets the women of their dreams. But I didn't feel it with this movie. Because you see, they have chemistry. You watch them grow. And I'm not saying that platonic relationships don't ever turn out to be romantic ones. They can, they do. And I'm not saying it's wrong. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's the right way to go. And in this film, I agreed the direction that they went without spoiling too much.
I think what I like about this one is that there's obviously an attraction and an admission of that attraction from the beginning. So they're never really lying to themselves. A lot of, friends to lovers type stories, it's like, oh no, this is never going to happen. I don't see you that way. And it never. And so when suddenly it's a switch, or like you said, there's a guy who was friend zoned and suddenly she sees him differently. Like there's a different kind of dynamic there that I don't think is present in this movie.
And it's mutual. It's a mutual attraction.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's not like she was never thinking about it, or she's been doing her own thing and he's been chasing after her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You definitely do still get that soulmate vibe because of the time span and the serendipity moments.
Oh yeah, how they keep running into each other, which he kind of mentions in the film because he runs into his ex-wife as well. He's like, oh yeah, just running into your ex-wife in a city of 8 million people happens all the time. Like, well, you guys met a couple times already. Like the airport I get. Because, you have one airport, everybody meets up there. That's possible. But then you guys met at a bookstore again 10 years later.
Serendipity.
Hey, but it's movie magic.
Movie magic. Is there anything else you have to say about your opinion?
I will say, guess what time it is, guys? We haven't done this in a while. But it's Date That Movie. I'm not saying go on a date with the movie. I'm saying, what dates this movie? And Caitlin, do you know what it is? Is there anything that dated this movie for you?
That dated it?
Yeah.
Dated. Not that I'm remembering right now, but I'm sure there was.
There's definitely the home phones. That's always one. So that's why I don't always bring up the Date That Movie game. Because some of them it's just like, all right, that really doesn't really hit like a core. Oh, I remember that. Or, oh, that used to be a thing. So Carrie Fisher's character, she picks out somebody's contact cards. And
the Rolodex.
The Rolodex. And you knew the name too. Yeah, there's a Rolodex in here, and I don't understand. I don't know why I know that. Like, I can't trace back to anyone explaining to me that that's a Rolodex.
Yeah, neither can I. Like, how do I know this is what this is?
Yeah. Like, oh, it's a Rolodex. Like, I've definitely used one before, though. Not for contact cards, but my grandmother used to have recipes on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good old Rolodex. If you don't know what that is, kids, go look it up. Be grateful.
Oh, I gotta say, recently I've been thinking about, I need to have a place to put address, like an address book again, because I don't remember people's address ever. And I'm like, well, what if I want to send, Christmas cards or something like that, something nice? I don't know people's address.
I just go back through the history in my phone.
Yeah, that's what I usually do, but it's so annoying. And sometimes things get deleted, and then it's awkward, hey, can you send me your address? like I don't know where you live. Because usually, once you drive places for a while, you don't know what the address is. It's just oh yeah, that's the house that I recognize on this street.
You send more whatever than me, because I never had that issue. But hey, you guys heard it here. If you want to send something to the podcast, apparently we're requesting Rolodexes.
Well, even if it's I've not driven to some place very often, it's even still awkward asking again. What's your address so I can put in my GPS?
I just go through the messages. Or maybe because I'm not driving that often to people's houses, because I don't live near many of my friends.
Mm.
And I never lived near many of my friends because my moving around all the time.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of them though, I just don't have old messages. So.
Oh no, I got all that stuff saved. Because I'll bring it up in our conversation. I never said that, and then I go in, bam, 2012 evidence.
Also, for iPhones, the search function isn't as good. If it's not in Facebook messaging.
Nope, I wouldn't agree with you here, but no, I don't have the issue. So you're getting a Rolodex for Christmas.
Yay! I was pleasantly surprised to see Carrie Fisher in this film because I didn't know she was in it.
I was too, and I like the way her role plays out is funny.
Yeah. So what were you able to find for the influence that this film had?
The first one I found was When Harry ... Because when I went searching for this movie in Rotten Tomatoes, there's a lot of films that start with When Harry. This is one of those, people just kept taking this title. I'm pretty sure it's a bunch of TV shows as well. The line I'll have what she's having, I didn't know came from this movie.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah, I looked it up, and it dates back to this movie. And actually in that restaurant, because that's where Meg Ryan does her, right, like the clip this movie is known most for, her faking orgasm scene. In that restaurant, they have a plaque that says, "Hope you have what she's having."
Nice.
And that's also one of the top 100 quotes by AFI, I believe. This, like you said, it's kind of become the template for rom-coms, like the modern rom-com. And this also had a more genuine approach. That's kind of how that template worked, is that it wasn't like this fantastical event that occurred, this fantastical romance. You didn't have big stars filling those roles. You didn't have these big, lavish, romantic scenes. It really did feel like two people meeting.
Yeah, it did. And the scenes that it had are very much referenced in later movies, particularly the split screen telephone call while they watch a movie together. I watched a movie recently that had this. I think it was like a Christmas rom-com, but I don't remember which one. I know Legally Blonde 2 also has this. The orgasm scene in the restaurant, that's been parodied as well. Not just with that quote, but just the scene itself. I know The Ugly Truth has a scene that kind of riffs off of that. So there's definitely a lot of scenes in here that were referenced in later rom-coms. In early 2004, the film was actually also adapted for the stage in theater production, starring Luke Perry and Allison Hannigan. I don't know if it was a musical or just a stage production, though.
Molly Ringwald also did a stage production of this.
Oh, really? I missed that.
She turned down the role for Sally. I don't know how I hesitated on that name. What is this movie called again? But she turned that down, but she later had the role for the stage.
Another thing that I saw that this had influence on, but I wasn't able to see it from a separate sources. There was only just one source that noted it, so I'm not sure if it's necessarily true, but it did say that it drove people to drink more bottled water because it wasn't really a thing too much in the late 80s, but since Sally is always carrying a water bottle with her, it did influence people to drink more bottled water. Like I said, I only saw one site that noted that, so it might not be true, but I thought that would be interesting if it was.
Dang, were people just passing out left and right till When Harry Met Sally? Is that the full title of the movie? When Harry Met Sally, people started to hydrate.
Yeah.
The motion picture.
As far as the significance for this film, one thing that I saw is that the soundtrack ended up getting a #1 on the Billboard Jazz charts. The soundtrack's significant for featuring a 20-year-old Harry Connick Jr., who we know is huge today. And I feel bad because the soundtrack really didn't stand out for me personally, but I guess it definitely worked for some people.
No, it didn't stand out for me. That's honestly why I didn't even write that one down, because I was like, okay.
I really did not notice it. Maybe because we've seen other films that have similar now since then. I'm not sure, but it didn't stand out. But good for him.
This was also a breakout role for Meg Ryan, as we mentioned, and sort of for Billy Crystal. He just wasn't he had his film roles, but he hadn't broken out yet, and this was the one to do it for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this film in general just proved that rom-coms are lucrative just because it did so well with its gross, of its box office gross. So it really proved that rom-coms are lucrative while also establishing the formula, right? So I mean, it really established the idea of this high maintenance girl and falling in love and having a transitional boyfriend or girlfriend before they find the right person. And I mean, a lot of films like that are Sleepless in Seattle, Bridget Jones' Diary, Notting Hill, Proposal, Always Be My Maybe. So there's a lot of films that take direct influence from this, and it really did carve out what the genre format is. So who would you recommend this film to?
I would recommend this to the general audience. I don't know if cinephiles would be able to pull anything from it unless you want to see the background of New York in a very well done way. Or if you want to see what a Rolodex looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for something light as a cinephile, this is something to watch, but I definitely agree that this is open enough for a general audience to enjoy. So let's go ahead and move on to the classified portion of our podcast where we'll be talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen this film and don't want to be spoiled, go pause our podcast, go take a watch, and then come back. So talking spoilers, I think you said that you had something that you wanted to mention.
It was just how this movie ended with them getting together.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, so what did you think about the journey of how they ended up getting together and how they ended up being together for the first time and the repercussions there?
I liked it because, again, I felt that it was genuine. I don't think they were like fighting it the whole time, or at least it wasn't very obvious. Like, yeah, they were asking questions about who the other one is dating, and they both kind of had this feeling, but they weren't, I don't know, it's not like they were trying to sabotage each other. They were like going too far with trying to push each other away from one another. It wasn't like a bunch of hijinks ensued just so that they wouldn't have that attractiveness. I liked the build up. It felt natural when it finally does happen. Again, it feels natural. It feels like I can see this happening in this situation, and the way that they kind of the way the consequence that it has with them, you know, parting ways for a little bit, which is kind of a cliche. It's kind of that climactic moment not climactic moment. It's that moment in the romantic films, the buddy cop films, when they go against each other, they part ways just to come back to one another.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's something you definitely expect to see from a film like this. I feel like for me, the actual time, like when they first hooked up, it was a little awkward for me. And I guess it's supposed to be awkward, but it was weird to me how quickly it evolved on Meg Ryan's part. Because there was no like reluctance at all. She just kind of went for it. Where there was more reluctance, I think, on Billy Crystal's end.
Yes, which makes sense because Billy Crystal is the one, his character is the one to get into his head. He's the one to think a lot about a situation. He's more of the emotional one. And Meg Ryan's character, she just goes with it. She just embraces it in the now.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I like how it worked out when he went to the New Year's Eve party and finally confessed his love.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was a New Year's Eve movie. Maybe we should have saved it, but that's okay. I didn't know.
Oh yeah, it happens twice. I didn't realize that either till just now. But even that, it's not like he kisses her on midnight. They're not on a balcony. They're in between all these other people. It's like it kind of just tells you that not everything is revolving around you, but they're still taking the moment that they have.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about the interspersing of couple stories? So you see like this kind of like, they're all actors. It's all fake. They're not real couples, but each little break in the film has a couple talking about how they met and how their relationship is. What did you think about that?
Well, they're actually real stories. They're actors, but real stories.
Yeah, compiled by Nora Ephron, but they are actors.
Yeah. I mean, I could have probably done without, but to have this to be a feature-length film is kind of needed. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about it. It didn't take anything away. It didn't add anything to it either for me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They weren't really adding anything. They just kind of served as a break. And then at the end, when we have Harry and Sally on the couch telling their story, like, I didn't really need that ending either. Like, I feel like I could have ended with the kiss and then assumed that they had their happily ever after instead of like, well, yeah, we got married and blah, blah, blah.
No, I needed that. For them having all the stories in the break, I was anticipating them to have their story at the end.
Yeah, I just mean like if we hadn't had that, I would have been okay without.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm indifferent about it. It's not a plus or a minus.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you have to say during our spoiler discussion?
How do you feel about the platonic relationship and the way that it was handled in this movie? You didn't talk about it too much.
I mean, I mentioned before, I think that I liked the way it was handled in this film because they were always open up front. There was never a time where it seems like they weren't attracted to each other. I think my issue is more like when they aren't initially attracted to each other and you're expecting for it to grow. I mean, I do think that maybe it's just because of how I'm viewing the film, you always know how it's going to end. But I think in a way that these characters, in the back of their minds, they always knew that it was going to lead to this anyway. So it didn't feel like it was a betrayal to their notions of their relationship.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I agree, though. Like, I don't like the premise that, oh no, men and women can never be friends, because that's not true. That's definitely not true.
Yeah, not true at all. But again, I think back in these times, yeah, it held less truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or no, it had more truth that platonic relationships couldn't last. I think that was probably more of the stigma back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So I guess that kind of gets into, do we think this film holds up? And I think even with that, I do think it does hold up, because the chemistry that they have is engaging, and I think it's still funny. I laughed at a couple things in it, so I think it holds up overall, even though it does have some things that are a bit dated.
I totally agree. Aside from the time period, there's not much that dates this film. I think people are going to have a different take on the platonic relationship, but like we both said, the way they play it out, yeah, I'm with it. Yeah. Even with an opposing view, I'm with it.
Aside from that Rolodex, the Rolodex does not hold up.
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to say it. I was like, I already brought it up twice. If I say it one more time, it's going to appear in front of me.
So what is your overall rating that you would give to this film?
I would give this a B. Maybe a B minus.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you at a B. I think it's a fun romantic comedy. It's a light watch. It's something it is funny. I did have a good time watching it, and I probably would watch this again if given the opportunity.
Oh yeah, if I can see myself either putting this on for somebody, or somebody puts it on, I'm gonna sit and actually watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that this is like my new favorite romantic comedy, but it got the job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely put this in. Like, if I meet someone who likes rom-coms, but they like those rom-coms, like the real mainstream ones, like if they like the mediocre ones, this is gonna be part of my lineup to show, like, hey, here's a rom-com and it's good.
I think When Harry Met Sally is still mainstream, but it's definitely more older.
Yeah, because it's older, it's not as well known. Mm-hmm. But this is the kind of movie, because some people say, oh, well, of course you don't like, they'll probably call it a chick flick. Of course you don't like chick flicks. You're a movie buff, a movie snob. And that's when I got to go, no. Clear your next 6 hours, because I got to line up prepared for this.
I think, too, I mentioned before, this is a rom-com for adults. So I definitely think I would recommend this and watch it with people who maybe haven't seen much of that, who are kind of getting out of the teen phase.
Yeah, that'll be going.
So we had our rom-com. Is this the must-see rom-com? I don't know. We still have, of course, more to watch in the future. But what are we going to be tackling next week, Brian?
So next week, we're doing something a little different and not different. We're going to be doing a water cooler talk, and we're going to be doing our 2022 year end review for films, not for our podcast like we did last time for our cases. The difference here is that it's actually going to be it's going to be taking the place of a core episode. And that's just due to since we're doing this one weekly, Caitlyn has her projects going on. The episodes, like last time, we had to actually cut the episode in 2 parts. So they are long episodes. We also have Scream coming out. And that's honestly a lot. Like, we weren't doing weekly, we could have probably worked it out, but with doing it weekly, yeah, we're going to have to make this take place of the core episodes. But hey, it's still going to be a long, content-full episode. And from what we were seeing, a lot of people enjoyed that from last year. So don't worry, not missing out on too much. And for some people, it may give them a chance to catch up. But that'll be our assignment for that week. Now, Caitlyn, while we're in HQ watching the last of the 2022 movies that we have to watch, where can they get in contact with us? Maybe to even try to influence what we're going to be picking for our categories.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite movies are from 2022, because then we might prioritize those movies. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at OpSilverScreen. On Facebook, it's Operation Silver Screen, but Twitter and Instagram, it's Op Silver Screen. You can also follow along while we're watching those films on our personal letterboxes and maybe see some reviews and thoughts on films that we're not discussing on here. You can find me at Coffee Spoon Kate, that's Coffee Spoon CAIT, and Brian's going to be at Swank Seal, that's capital S, capital S.
Till next time, I'm Bryant.
And I'm Caitlyn.
See you.